The movie begins in a prison, where Doxa and Dae-ho, the leaders of two mafia organizations, are imprisoned. Every day, fighting is unavoidable, to the point where the guards employ water cannons to break it up. Since the chief warden is currently undergoing a promotion evaluation, he is forced to consider how to maintain calm in the jail. Mr. Lee, the chief of the security division, states that he would attempt to reconcile Doxa and Dae-ho. Doxa is taking a bath, and the other inmates are waiting in line behind him. Dae-ho, who is at the front of the line, intends to kill Doxa straight away. Unfortunately, Dae-ho's plot is foiled when he is apprehended by one of Mr. Lee's guards. The next day, the chief warden informs Mr. Lee that he must prepare for the entrance of a new criminal, Korea's most feared mob lord. The chief warden believes that things will get much more chaotic. Mr. Lee, on the other hand, contends otherwise. If there is someone stronger than Doxa and Dae-ho, just one leader would be able to rule, and the long-running squabble will end. Doxa challenges Dae-ho to a fight one afternoon, while the detainees are gathering in the field. Doxa is aware that he intends to murder him in a cowardly manner, and he accepts the challenge, and they proceed to the field's northwest corner, where the inmates frequently fight. The two mafia factions engage in combat. The combat starts with their subordinates fighting one-on-one. Meanwhile, the guards are pleased, because they are entertained. After the men on each side fight, it is the time of their gang boss to fight one-on-one. They have equal combat talents, therefore their battle is drawn out. Their troops eventually join the fight to defend their commander, prompting the guards to intervene. As a result of the fight, Mr. Lee summons the two leaders to his office, where he attempts to encourage them to make peace. Their disagreement, however, is so difficult to settle that they are hesitant to accept the proposition. Lee Tae-sik, the prisoner about whom the warden was concerned, arrives at the prison the next day. Tae-sik walks into the field where the detainees are gathering, accompanied by two guards. Since they already know Tae-sik, the detainees are terrified and amazed to see him. Doxa abruptly taunts him, who responds by asking the guard for permission to teach Doxa a lesson. After being kicked once, Doxa passes out. Tae-sik, who is being held alone in a special cell, meets the chief warden and Mr. Lee in the afternoon. The warden requests his assistance in controlling Doxa and Dae-ho, who are perpetually disruptive in the prison. If he is successful in reconciling the two of them, the warden will attempt to assist him in the prison. The warden even gives him a fruit basket after the meeting. Dae-ho sits with his men in another cell, telling them about Tae-sik, a legend among the Korean Mafia, who used to be a security guard, until he accidentally encountered a group of Mafia, while trying to defend a woman. Because of the incident, he was forced to battle 100 Mafias. He was able to defeat the 100 on his own. His fame has increased since then, and he has risen to become Korea's #1 mobster. Tae-sik is sitting alone in the field the next afternoon, when he is approached by the detainees, who salute him, including Doxa and Dae-ho. He calls the two to reconcile. Dae-ho unexpectedly extends his hand to Doxa, signifying his desire to make peace. Doxa grabs his hand, and the two apologize to each other. The warden, who is monitoring them from inside his office, smiles. Finally, he is able to work with relief. The convict schedule seems to have changed. They now collaborate to assist one another. They even appear to get along when gathered in the field. Tae-sik is likewise made a normal prisoner, and is sent to Dae-ho's cell. After some time has passed, the chief warden will be transferred as a promotion. In reality, the institution he oversees is utilized as a model. So to commemorate the honor, and also to bid farewell to the chief warden, a musical group is brought into the prison, for an entertainment function. Jo Pyong-ho, the new chief warden, arrives a few days later. Mr. Lee describes the prison's characteristics, particularly the tranquility and quiet that has surrounded it, since Tae-sik's arrival. As a result, the prison guards rely heavily on Tae-sik to keep the peace. Pyong-ho is so enraged when he learns that a prison is dependent on a mafia, he smashes Mr. Lee in the groin with a golf club. Mr. Lee's been inspecting the convicts with a grim expression on his face since then. He conducts an inspection one afternoon, summoning all of the detainees. However, one prisoner is observed lazing around, which enrages him to the point of hitting him repeatedly. Other detainees who witness this transformation remain silent. Tae-sik also proposes that Doksa and Dae-ho report to work, as Mr. Lee has directed. Pyong-ho is escorted by numerous prison officers to inspect the inmates' things, as they are working outside the cell to clean the prison environment. Surprisingly, the guards discover a large number of cigarettes, knives, and even stuff. Following that, jail regulations become more stringent. Prisoners are only permitted to bathe for 30 seconds. As a result, the inmates rush to shower. Even their food allotment appears insufficient and reduced. Tae-sik is reminded of the incident that landed him in prison, when Pyong-ho wanders around and stands in front of his cell. Several young men were partying at a karaoke facility at the time, joined by the girls provided by the venue. One of the teenagers, however, spikes the drink with substances. Then he asks Ho-ran, the female with him, to have it. When she refuses, the young man smacks her with a drink bottle. The pimp enters the room and summons the guards after hearing the disturbance. Tae-sik, the proprietor of the karaoke establishment, also enters and attempts to calm the drunken young man. Instead, the young man snatches the broken bottle and threatens Tae-sik. Unfortunately, the young man is unable to restrain himself. He slips and is killed by the broken bottle. Tae-sik is then arrested after the incident. Despite his innocence, he received a 5-year prison sentence. The young man turns out to be Pyong-ho's son. Pyong-ho intended to be transported to the prison where Tae-sik is being kept, because of this grudge. He aims to torment Tae-sik as well as malign him, so that his punishment is added to a life sentence. He orders 2 guards to bind and beat Tae-sik, whose torture begins. Mr. Lee appears to be under pressure to cooperate with Pyong-ho, but he has little choice, because he has no other options. Pyong-ho then abruptly requests that Doksa and Dae-ho return to their cells. He also asks Mr. Lee to keep them at odds, precisely so he could feel the true jail atmosphere. One of the convicts is even brought to Mr. Lee's quarters and beaten to a pulp, so that the inmate could falsely allege that Tae-sik was the prison's drug dealer. Ho-ran pays a visit to the prison one day. Mr. Lee escorts her to Pyong-ho's quarters, who says Tae-sik is an exceptional prisoner, therefore she is given the opportunity to meet her husband in the chief warden's quarters. She has never met Pyong-ho, so she believes it right away, and takes Pyong-ho's coffee, which has been laced with sleeping drugs. She falls asleep not long after, and Pyong-ho instantly photographs her. Tae-sik is then led to the quarters, attended by many guards, and is enraged when he witnesses Pyong-ho harassing his wife. But he is powerless, because his hands and feet are bound. After that, he passes out, being hit by Mr. Lee. Pyong-ho summons Doksa to his room a few days later, and offers him parole, as long as he agrees to take Ho-ran hostage, and to arrest Tae-sik if he tries to escape from the prison. Doksa accepts the offer, since he misses his mother, who is currently quite ill and needs medical attention. Tae-sik, with the help of his fellow detainees, lures the guard into his private cell the next day, where he attacks him. Tae-sik then emerges from his cell, disguised as a warden, and summons Dae-ho and his troops from the field. He requests their assistance in finishing Pyong-ho. But Dae-ho's men disagree with his plan, because they believe something is awry, especially after Pyong-ho unexpectedly released Doksa on parole. Tae-sik realizes Ho-ran is in danger after hearing that, and asks Dae-ho and his guys to make a scene, in order for him to escape from prison. There is a bustle, and Tae-sik simply moves towards the exit. Mr. Lee notices Tae-sik opening the prison door, but he lets it go. He truly seems pleased that Tae-sik is able to escape from prison, and informs Pyong-ho of the escape. Pyong-ho appears calm, despite the fact that he had foreseen this would happen. He tells Mr. Lee to get ready, because the Minister of Law would be visiting the prison in 2 hours. Mr. Lee promptly inspects the captives and guards, instructing them to act as if nothing happened. Tae-sik hunts for Ho-ran's location outside the prison, when he meets 3 of Doksa's men in an empty street. He dispatches them all in a flash, and eventually locates Ho Ran, who is being held captive by Doxa. Doxa gathers his best fighters to take on Tae-sik, but in the end, Tae-sik vanquishes all of them. Doxa stabs him, catching him off guard, with a knife from under his shirt. Tae-sik escapes Doxa, and takes Ho Ran. They take refuge in an empty house, and he requests her to announce his escape from prison, so that they can both escape the pursuit. They then split apart. Tae-sik pursues Doxa, while Ho Ran flees to the police station. Tae-sik and Doxa fight once more. Doxa attacks Tae-sik with a knife. Tae-sik, although severely injured by the stab wound, strives with all his strength to repel his attack. They both fall as a result of their injuries at the end. Doxa admits to being used by Pyong-ho. However, he plans to demolish Pyong-ho's career and reveal his rottenness while leaving prison. He takes his phone from his pocket, and calls his reporter friend, and hands Tae-sik his mobile. He wants Tae-sik to explain what happened in prison. Back in the prison, Pyong-ho is entertaining the Minister of Law in his office. But their talk is cut short when reporters enter. They inquire about Tae-sik's escape, and seek proof of Pyong-ho's stated evidence and false witnesses used. Pyong-ho instructs Mr. Lee to kick the reporters out, evidently unprepared for the barrage of questions. The minister, though, has already heard them. He directs his subordinates to examine the prison CCTV footage, as well as Pyong-ho's mobile. When he sees the photo of Ho Ran's harassment, the minister quickly orders Pyong-ho's arrest. Meanwhile, Doxa and Tae-sik stumble outside the prison, until they collapse. Guards arrive to assist and haul them both into the prison. The jail atmosphere returns to normal. Doxa and Dae-ho reconcile, and Tae-sik is seen leading the prisoners in the prison. Mr. Lee is also promoted, and is now the prison's new chief warden. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy, hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. You should watch the full movie. Thank you very much for watching.